The South African economy has been struggling even before the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the situation is even more dire. But here is a ray of hope. According to the Allianz Global Wealth Report, South African household wealth is showing signs of a strong recovery. Well, let's discuss what this means with senior economist Dr. Selin Ozyurt. Dr. Ozyurt, good morning, and thank you very much for your time. This Global Wealth Report, can we start there? What does it measure? What are the indicators you are looking out for in order to make your conclusions and share some insights with us?
Good morning, and thank you very much for inviting me. And as you said, yesterday we released our Global Wealth Report, and when we look at the 2019 data, we only see good news. Global wealth increased by 9.7% last year. And this is very good news, it sounds like. So if you ask me what is inside, in this global wealth, we have bank deposits and we have other type of financial assets, securities and insurances that households are owning. So we don't have real estate inside.
So this was for 2019, eh? Was it for the whole of last year that this report is dealing with?
I'll come to, we also deal with the first part of this year, which is basically a catastrophe because of the COVID-19 disease. But even for the first half of 2020, we see an increase, 1.5% of increase in wealth. And I know that can sound very counterintuitive to you, but it's even possible that we end up the year 2020 with a positive number in terms of wealth development. Now, is it purely good news? Of course not, because when we look at the economy is in serious trouble. So these numbers mostly show us the decoupling of the stock markets from real economic fundamentals.
So it's really about wealth. But if you think about households in emerging markets like South Africa, what does the report show?
Exactly. This year there is an important outcome, which is that the gap between the poor and rich is getting bigger. Although until 2018, we had a trend that emerging markets were growing faster, so there was a catch-up between countries, emerging and advanced countries. And now we see a clear reversal, and the gap is getting bigger, with 10% of the population now owning 84% of total wealth in the world.
Now, let's talk about South Africa just a little bit, if you could break down some numbers, because I saw your headline in your press statement. You said South Africa's strong recovery, the gross financial assets of South African households rising last year by 6.7% after having gone down in 2018. Of course, 2020, as you said, the first half of it has been disastrous.
Disastrous, exactly. In South Africa, as you said, in 2018, we had a very bad year, so net financial assets decreased by 7.3%. So net financial assets, I mean, you take the assets minus all the debt, all the liabilities. So the positive number of this year, it's a rebound of 7.4%. It's actually just a rebound of what was lost in 2018. And that 7.4 of increase is not a very good performance. South Africa is underperforming the world, where that increase was about 11%, and also South Africa is clearly underperforming other emerging countries like China, Turkey, and Brazil. Yeah. But still, the ranking is on the 38th position, and it's the only African country being ranked that high.
It's the only African country in the top 40. You know, here in South Africa, in the JSE, we look at the top 40 performers. So we just made it into the top 40. But the news, as you said, going forward is not that good. I mean, there's going to be some reversals due to COVID-19. And as you said, we should be worried that the gap between the rich and the poor countries, it's started to widen just before the coronavirus pandemic. And it's going to get worse going forward due to COVID-19.
You are absolutely right. We should be worried about two things. First is, as you said, the inequalities. This is already a very big problem for South Africa, and things are getting worse with the COVID-19. And second thing we should worry about, I mentioned that decoupling of real economy and the stock market performance. When we look today at the stock market in South Africa, we are only about 2% below the pre-crisis levels. Although when we look at our economic projections, we project a GDP contraction of minus 8.2% for this year. So that huge gap, it cannot go forever. And you have only two choices. Either you grow very fast to catch up that gap, or there will be a strong correction of asset valuations, I mean a bubble, a burst, and a financial crisis in some sectors.
Yeah, and the trouble is not over, although there's that recovery with household wealth. Thank you very much, Dr. Selin Ozyurt, for your insights. Enjoy the rest of your Heritage Day. Still,